always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending. All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
Powered by Reb Media in partnership with TSN. It is season 7 of the Ray and Greg's Hockey Podcast, presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. The Tim's NHL Hockey Challenge is back in the Tim Hortons app with a chance to win daily and monthly prizes for picking players who you think will score. Plus, there's a chance to win a new Hyundai Tucson as part of our grand prize at the end of the year. Canadians, you can also try and keep a 7-day streak alive and win a free coffee or tea for a week. Check it out, timhortons.ca, for a full list of prizes. So, Ray, it's Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
Monday night, I'm on my couch and I'm watching the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, and I'm thinking about you because you're a ball guy, right? You're a baseball guy. I mean, it's a passion lifelong. Yep. I understand that. I'm a fan. I'd call myself more than a fringe fan. I mean, it was fun to see the Blue Jays march to the World Series last year. And in the end, I mean, obviously beaten by a better team in the Los Angeles Dodgers. 9-1 last night, Monday night. I'm like, all right, I've seen enough. I've seen enough. And all my knowledgeable buddies are texting, their bats are cold. They can't do this and they can't do that. I mean, is it too early in the year for Jays fans to be concerned? Like, what is going on? And did you watch it? Because it was an official bloodletting at the hands of the LA Dodgers last night.
Did not watch. I don't really catch the watching fever for baseball till I'm done with hockey. You can only watch so much stuff, right? But I'm reading an unacceptable start to the series or to the season. It's like 8 games. They got like 152 to go. And so I think if people would remember back to last year, they started kind of lousy too. But that's last year and it's too far away and people can't remember last Thursday. So it's like, come on, like just relax. You got, you got months and months and months, and the whole goal in the first month is not to lose touch with the rest of the league. And they won't. They won't.
No.
They'll be fine. But no, I was watched some of the Tampa game, and then we watched a couple of shows, and then I thought, oh, look at this. We'll catch the end of the Kings game. There is never an end of a Kings game. Like that's 32 times, almost half their season, they've played overtime.
Yeah.
And And so anyways, that went to overtime. They won in the shootout, and somehow they're still hanging around the wild card.
Are they ever? And we'll talk about that coming up in headlines with San Jose and the Winnipeg Jets in that Wild West. Before we get into headlines, though, you're good at domestic balance. I mean, it's a give-take thing. This marriage, this commitment, this union that we have, right? You and Cammie, Holly, and me.
I'm gonna be honest, Regs. I always feel a half a step behind. I always feel a half a step. Oh yeah. Like I'm like, okay, I don't know. I should be doing. That's how I feel most times.
So when it comes to making purchases of significance, I would say, and I guess that's where it gets debatable. So I'll spill it, and then you tell me if I should have had the conversation with Holly before agreeing to said purchase. So as you know, the cabbage, we whatever B is, B. So yeah, like we've got a nice little 18-hole executive golf course at the Cabbage, but not everybody has golf courts. It's a golf carts. It's a walkable 18 holes, but the golf cart is a mode of transportation, right? So when I get to the cottage, I literally park my truck and almost never use it unless I'm, driving into town for groceries or something along those lines. The transportation at the Cabbage is either my side-by-side or the golf cart. The clubhouse is probably half a kilometer away, so you jump in if you want to go get a bag of ice or, a hamburger, whatever, in the golf cart. So I have an old 2006 golf cart that it's had some work done. But I figured, okay, it's time to upgrade. All right. So first, I sell the used cart, the
Sure.
2006.
Yeah.
Got really good money for it, surprisingly good money for it. And then automatically I flipped over and jumped to the upgrade, which is
Of course.
a 2022. I'll send you a picture of this golf cart. You're going to laugh out loud because it's one of those, it's not like lifted or any of that, but it's got the fancy rims. It's like this deep, deep
Sure.
forest green with, tan brown seats. It's just, it's kind of amusing, but it's very, very nice. Anyway, I closed the deal on this, and along the way, I'm like, I wonder if this is something I should talk to Holly about. But I didn't. And she wasn't impressed. She's kind of okay with it, but feels like I probably should have had that conversation with her before making the deal. Fair or
Okay. Well, yeah. Yes. Only because does she use the golf cart?
yeah, for sure. A
Maybe
lot.
you should have
Yeah.
kept the 2006 as well and got it
Interesting.
fixed up because what if you're at the golf course
Yeah.
and she wants to go somewhere, then she's got to jump it. She's not using the side by side, is she?
Oh yeah. Yeah. She loves that
Well
thing.
then you
Yeah.
oh well, that's like having a van.
I think it
So
was more
she's
about
got she's
spending the money, like the actual spending of the dollars without having a husband-wife
okay.
conversation, which I kind of appreciate. I do. I do. I'm not dismissing it. I'm
Question.
just yeah.
Question. The closet, was that discussed beforehand or did you just come up and your clothes were in a basket?
No, it was discussed at length. Several months. Several.
Oh, so, I hate to side with your wife here, but
Yeah.
I'm starting to think you probably should have, said, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking of." And because she would have said, "Oh, I think it's kind of stupid, but okay, I get it."
Yeah.
And right?
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of how the
Well,
conversation would have gone?
yeah. And the only reason I bring it up is okay, number one, I do appreciate your feedback on this, but I also am open to ridicule. Like if there are people out there that say you're a dinosaur and she should kick you in the shins. All right, I get it. I probably deserve that. I was surprised at her response and I felt, okay. I'm a big enough man to admit I'm wrong. So here I am,
Yeah.
sort of
But
kind of
but uh,
admitting I'm wrong.
but okay, now can you even say to her, "Yeah, but the new one doesn't have a regulator on it. We can go faster." Or things like that. Can
A
you
governor,
do
Ray,
that?
not a regulator, a governor.
Say, no, is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's called a governor. Yeah.
Okay, does it have a governor on it?
I'm sure it does, but I'm I know how to muck around with those things. So
I thought the governor was like the head of a state.
yeah, well that too. But it also
Oh,
applies to how
see,
much
everybody
fuel is
learned something
presented.
today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone,
There you go. Well, again, I appreciate your
yeah.
feedback on this. All right, let's get to headlines brought to us by the Canadian Brewhouse. Real fans know the move. You arrive early. Happy hour at the Canadian Brewhouse runs Monday to Saturday, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., starting at $3.99. Hey, skip the couch, hit the Canadian Brewhouse. Your home for every puck drop, every goal, and of course, every cheer. With ice cold drinks, massive screens, and the best fans in town this hockey season, their house is your arena. And not just my house, but upheaval to start this week, Ray. Upheaval in the
Mm.
National Hockey League. And we're going to get to the Isles coaching change in a minute. But we're going with what is most recent. That's late Monday with the New Jersey Devils dumping Tom Fitzgerald as general manager president on Monday. New Jersey has 5 games left in the regular season. I understand why teams make changes. This front office stuff happens all the time. Every year there are coaching changes, there are management changes. That happens. But it's such a copycat league, isn't it? It's like, one team does this and then the next team goes, well, we're thinking about doing it. So maybe let's do it now too. Like, I mean, what are you saving or gaining an advantage if you're New Jersey by pulling the trigger on Fitzy now? I mean, giving him opportunity? Like, I don't know. What are you saving?
Sure. I think twofold. You give opportunity. Is there some other jobs out there that you would he might have an interest in, at least applying for. Secondly, is that you start to hear, I mean, Dregs, hell, your whole business is a grapevine.
Yeah.
And everybody is listening to other people. And some of the candidates that maybe are talking in the other places, you would be really interested in. Like they didn't wake up yesterday morning and go, yeah, today's the day we're going to fire. Should we fire Tom? Should we,
No.
I mean, that discussion's been ongoing and,
Right.
and that's the case in almost every place. I mean, before anyone has been fired, in particular in a manager's role, there's enough chat around it for a bit of time.
Yeah.
So for New Jersey, maybe some of the people that they're interested in are talking to Nashville about their job, are talking to Toronto about their job. It feels to me, and this might be totally wrong, but it feels like there's more general manager candidates that are prepped and ready than there
Yeah.
are coaches.
Fair.
It feels like when Cassidy gets let go and Tortorella goes in there, that all of a sudden the Islanders are like, wait a minute, we're really interested in Pete DeBoer, and
For
we
sure.
better not get caught holding the
Yeah.
bag here. So that's how I kind of envision it. I know people love to say, where are the new candidates? Where are the new people? You have to think, if you're an owner and you're going to hire, or the president, and you're going to hire the general manager, you've got to trust that this new guy actually is ready to step into that big chair. And
Yeah.
there's a little bit of risk that goes with it. And it takes some courage, I assume. The other thing is, we're now not talking about franchises that are worth $100 million.
True.
Right. So these are big jobs and they're big hires, and totally inexperienced people, I would think, is probably the wrong way to go.
Mm. And you do have to wonder, again, without getting into the weeds on the Toronto Maple Leafs or any of the specific teams, but we know Toronto, Nashville, now the New Jersey Devils are in the market for new leadership of hockey
Yep.
operations. That's obvious.
Fair, they're
Many
talking to the
wondering.
same people. Like fair, they're talking to the same group of
Yeah.
people, or
Yep.
would there be some variance city to city?
I think there is some variance depending on who we're talking about here. Nashville is ahead in this process because they've been at it now for several weeks. But some of the names that are attached to Nashville include Darren York out of Carolina, right? Scott White out of Dallas. I mean, those are new names. Bill Scott out of Edmonton, who's an AGM.
Yep.
And then you look at guys who haven't been in for a while, like Peter Chiarelli, who he's not going back to St. Louis. He was working with Doug Armstrong. I believe he's had a face-to-face or a meeting with the owner in Nashville. Yeah. But then you wonder about, okay, well, Brad Treliving just cut loose by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Does New Jersey consider him as an option? Maybe Nashville, again, fresh kind of meat out there. But now then I look at New Jersey, and we kind of hinted at it. So maybe there is a New Jersey-Nashville connection. Fitzy, I'm sure, would love to get back into a chair ASAP, and he has history, in Nashville. So you can see that working.
And so much would depend on what the president, the owner, what they're more comfortable with. Do they want an older guy? Do they want somebody with fresh, new ideas? And I gotta say, like, the fresh new idea guy is pretty intriguing to me, because it would be in my envisionment of and I hate the divide, but it is true. It really is that a marriage between, like, a two-person president general manager, maybe, where one has a little bit of a slant towards old school eye test, and the other has more of an analytic, data driven look at it. I think those two often do not come in the same person. And I think you would be foolish to not have both.
Yeah.
I think that's really, as I look what might be the model going forward, is that pair, that duo becomes a way to do it, because I don't think you can have just an old school hockey guy and ignore or take quick glances at analytics. I don't think that's the way to do it. And I don't think you
Agreed.
can have it I don't think you can have it the other way either, because we know that some things are not measured by number.
Yeah.
And so if you have both, I think and it would be hard, but to have people with relatively little ego that they can say, "Oh, I see why that is better," and you work in tandem, because that we know, Dregs, that doesn't often happen. It's like there's a lot of people that have to be right all the time, and that's not going to work in this type of management tree.
Well, and look, it's not this simple, but when openings like this materialize, especially in the role of general manager, I try and connect the dots, right? And I look at the history. We just mentioned again why Tom Fitzgerald should get some consideration in Nashville. Again, there's history there. And then I look around the league and I wonder about the men who put in the time that appear to be ready for the next challenge. Like I think of Chris Draper, right, with the Detroit Red Wings. It doesn't seem likely Detroit is going to make some changes there. Okay, well, is Drapes ready to be a GM? Probably. I look at Jamie Langenbrunner with the Boston Bruins. Like he's been there 11 years in an executive role, right? And clearly has history, and I'm sure a decent relationship with Marty Brodeur in New Jersey. And Brodeur is going to be very involved in how this process unfolds in hiring the next general manager for the New Jersey Devils. So
I got another one for you, because I know him a little bit. He's here in Vancouver. It's Ryan Johnson. They won the Calder Cup last year. Ryan was the general manager, and he used to play in Nashville. So
why wouldn't that be considered?
Right. So when the names get out there early on, I think it's more of a PR campaign than anything else.
Right.
And underneath those ones that are well known, you just mentioned people that have been working in management for a long period of time. And why wouldn't they be considered? So some like at one point, a lot of these guys that we know were unheralded. They were not known. And somebody said, "You know what? That's the guy I'm going to take the leap with." And in a lot of cases, they've learned and stole a little bit and morphed a little bit towards something else. And then after a decade, they've become somebody different, and they've become a more well-rounded candidate. And they should, you mentioned earlier Darren York, and what about Brett Peterson in Florida? Like these guys, there's so many of them that are, if you go back to this and then I'll stop, is that I said it feels like there's more managerial candidates. So generally speaking, you're looking at probably 130 to 150 managers in the NHL. Each team has 4, and then there's the guys that aren't hired right now. So in that range, that are currently employed for the most part. And then and the coach's side, you're looking at 32. So that's why when Pete DeBoer's sitting there, the Islanders get a little itchy trigger finger, and they're like, "Yeah, we probably got to move on this right now."
Yeah. Well, let's go there. So if you're Pete DeBoer, and he's talked about it in his media availability when he got the call from Darsh, and Matthew Darsh explained, everything that he sees in this organization moving forward. And Pete just acknowledged, like, I got excited in a hurry, and it became priority for me to get this done, even though initially I think his view was, well, why not wait 4 games? Like, wait until the end of the regular season. Let's see where we're at. But there's urgency here, obviously, right? I mean, they're right on the cut line, to qualify for the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I can understand why Darsh made this call, and the New York Islanders have brought Pete DeBoer in. So what is Pete DeBoer looking for from this group, from the players? Because with that window of time, I mean, there's not a whole lot that he's going to do hands-on, is he? In preparation for the next
I think so.
few games?
I think so. He'll have a view. One thing that Pete's teams do is they defend.
Yeah.
Always have. And he's got 3 days of practice here. And you can make some, well, whatever's just below significant, you can make that word significant change to the way you defend. And so the Islanders have been a pretty permissive group defensively this year, and been bailed out a lot by an unreal season by Sorokin. So I would think the goal would be in those 3 days to try and maybe dial in about how much you attack when you defend. It would become a more passive defending style, I think, that would give you a chance in the short term to tighten up. So I do think he can make a difference. It tells me a couple of things, though. One, they were thinking about firing Patrick by the end of the year. In any case, that was probably something they were discussing internally. The other is the money of the finances of home playoff games matter.
Oh yeah.
And so, Vegas, and I mean, now on the island, these are valuable points and home games. Even if you just get into the first round, they matter. And for a gate-driven league, they matter more so.
Yeah,
no doubt. This last 10 days feels like the end of the football season. Every year in the NFL, they call it Black Monday. And it is like games are over Sunday and boom, 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 boom. But now we're starting to see in the NFL, even with a game or two left, teams are making moves. And it's to get into the queue to start accumulating candidates to go ahead and get their coaches hired, get their managers hired. And so that's what, to me, it's surprising at first, like, what the hell is going on here? But if you sit with it for a minute or two, you go, I can see why they decided to do that. By the way, both the Islanders and Vegas had 3 days off.
Yeah.
Like they played Vancouver. Vegas played Vancouver right away, but then they had a couple of days to practice and maybe work some of the systematic stuff in that they'd like to.
Spicy game in Buffalo on Monday. The Sabres and the Lightning continue to battle for the division title there. Nikita Kucherov scored his 400th NHL goal in the loss. Can you hear the footsteps, Ray? He's closing in. He's closing in on you, my friend.
What if he retires in the offseason and then he finishes behind? No,
I don't think that's happening. No.
Well, then I got another 6 months in the top, 105. It used to be better. Now it just keeps sliding away. The hell am I going to do? So,
assuming he doesn't score 8 times between now and the end of the regular season, how early do you think it'll be in the 26-27 campaign before he catches you?
Late October.
Oh, really? So you're thinking like 10 games ish?
Well, he's 8 away. He's going to get a couple more this year. He always will, of course. So he'll need 7. He'll need 7 or 6 next year, and that's what I'm gonna go with that.
I forgot to check who. I mean, he's got to be right there as next to you, correct? Is he? I don't even know on the list. I
got to be honest with you. Once I slipped out of the top 100, I'm like, it's like a snowball. It ain't gonna stop now. So.
No, I mean it's
unless I make a comeback. Unless I make a comeback, I could.
Yeah, the knees are feeling good.
Oh, feel great. As long as I don't do too much. I took the garbage out. That's enough this morning. For this morning.
So did I, as a matter of fact. And I don't know what's going on with Mother Nature. I hate complaining about the weather because it's useless, right? There's no reason to. it was like 20 degrees here Celsius on Thursday, Friday, something like that. We got like 4 inches of snow overnight.
No,
It's
come
insane.
on.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, no.
crazy.
No, I'm
It's
playing
nuts.
golf. I'm playing golf Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, because we got a great week of weather. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it feels like it should be for spring, but
Yeah.
that snow in April, come on.
Nah, it's soul sucking, man. It just is.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah.
I don't want to close the book on that Monday night game between the Sabres and the Lightning just
Yep.
yet, because there was a weird play in the third period which infuriated Jon Cooper. Pontus Holmberg
Right.
was hit into the boards of the penalty box. I mean, he ended up being injured. The door was slightly ajar because Zach Benson was about to leave the penalty box. Now, human error. Obviously, the latch wasn't down, which was a mistake by the penalty box attendant. But Jon Cooper was pissed off at a lot of stuff from that game. I think the 3-2 goal he didn't love because it was a defensive breakdown. So he was running hot post game. But he essentially called for the job. He wants that penalty box attendant in Buffalo to be fired immediately. Wanted a full-scale NHL the investigation is this. What happened? Why didn't latch the lock on the penalty box? Because Zach Benson was coming out in a second. All right. Still a dangerous play, right? And I get the frustration of Cooper and the Lightning, because now Pontus Holmberg is added to the long list of injuries that the Lightning are dealing with a few games left in the regular season.
Well, I get, they want to get the door open as fast as they can. So at 2 minutes, the player jumps onto the ice. So the door's got to be unlatched. Like I get that. I also get, if I'm Pontus Holmberg, I'd like to get up and smack that guy over top of the coconut, because now I'm hurt because the door's open. Like that. Like I hear it, and when they're saying, oh, Cooper shouldn't complain about it. No, he should complain about it. I don't know that there's an answer.
Right.
Like I don't know, other than to say that door's got to be latched right until 2 minutes. But then there's going to be, well, wait a minute, we used to complain about this in Montreal a lot, that they'd hold the door.
Right.
In the Forum, they used to have these little doors at the penalty box and the player's box, and you'd have to get onto the ice, and you'd be yelling at the guy, open the frickin' door. And he'd be staring up at the clock, and at 2 minutes he'd open the door. And you knew the Montreal side had the frickin' door open. It was like a bus depot over there. People were coming in and out of there. And so we always felt like we were getting the lousy end of the stick.
Right.
So that would be the counter argument to, you can't open it until 2 minutes. It's incredibly unlucky and unfortunate. And I can see why the Lightning are not very happy. Like I get it. And they shouldn't be.
Yeah. The case is closed, I guess, one, you remove the dude or the person, from that position. No, we can't have mistakes like that. Literally, somebody got hurt on that play. Or you remind them, all right, well, have your hand on the latch, but you obviously cannot have the door ajar until the player is immediately ready to jump. It's just a weird one. It's goofy.
Yeah, it is. I almost side with Cooper. Like it just can't be.
No.
It can't be. And I'm sure it's not like nobody's been told before.
No. Yeah. There would be protocol for all of that. It's pretty obvious, right?
Well, if there isn't, there sure as hell should be.
Yeah.
But the guy didn't do anything on purpose or
no.
I feel for him. I would assume he feels lousy. He's just, he's just doing his job. Right. And he's like, oh my God, he's probably done that same thing 500 times.
Yeah.
Right. And it never happens in that way.
It's wild.
And I feel bad kind of for him, because I'm certain he's walking around today and feeling like, oh my God, that guy got hurt and that's on me.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. All right, let's wrap up headlines. We touched on this a little bit earlier. You were talking about what you were watching, and we talked off the top of the pod of the Blue Jays struggles and all of that. And you said you were flipping around, and you ended up on the
Yep.
Los Angeles Kings game, and yet
Yep.
another overtime game. Okay, so the Kings win that game. San Jose wins their game. The Winnipeg Jets with a huge win over Seattle Kraken, and everybody is just selling hope right now, aren't they? And look, isn't it? I think there's a back-to-back, I believe, to end the year between Winnipeg and San Jose, and it very much could come right down to those games. It's an incredible run, really, from start to finish here.
Okay, so if it does, if indeed that's kind of the case, and right now it's like in the East, same thing. There's like 5 teams fighting for one spot, right, to get in. So let's assume if we're going to take a leap here and assume you're right. Right. So
Okay. That's
because I don't know the schedule. So
look, hold on.
Okay. Yeah. Before I get into this great theory, just take a quick peek there. But so, like San Jose, this has been a rather unexpected jump into this playoff race this year. So you get down to the end of the year, you're a point or two apart. You're playing Winnipeg. And for this surprising team, you've got Askarov in goal. And Winnipeg, a more veteran team that you thought would be in a playoff chase at the start of the year, has got Hellebuck in goal.
Yeah.
So whether San Jose gets there or not, this is so invaluable for them,
right,
experience-wise. Like for Askarov to have to play in that type of must-win stuff, that's you find out a lot about players. That's really good stuff for San Jose.
So the Jets have the Blues on Thursday, then the Flyers Saturday, Vegas Monday, April 13th. Then they play Utah Tuesday the 14th, and they wrap the regular season at home against San Jose on April 16th, that Thursday. So that really, I mean, every game is must win for
what's
the
the
teams
back-to-back there? What's
there's
the back-to-back there? I thought you said there was one.
No. There is actually. Jets and Golden Knights is Monday the 13th, and then they play Tuesday against Utah in Utah.
Ooh,
they go from Vegas to Utah.
That is a really difficult back-to-back.
Yeah, really, it's a tough one.
Really, yeah. So, but you know what? Everybody is dealing with the same thing, and if you can win a couple of games in a row, like Boston did last week, it seems to separate you a little bit. Look at what Philly's done since the Olympic break. I think they're 16-4-1, and they're not even in the wild card right now. They're in the third in the Metro. Wouldn't it be unreal if Pittsburgh and Philly play again?
Awesome.
That would. It's amazing.
May not have the same spice, but it would be good. It'd be a heartfelt series for sure.
One of my favorite moments ever, kind of early in my TSN days, we're doing the Pittsburgh Philly game 7. In that series, there was a game that was like 10-8. Like it was just mayhem, the whole series. And Crosby and Claude Giroux were going nose to nose. And I interviewed him right before puck drop, right after the anthem. He comes over, I do the interview, and I could see in his eyes, like it was like wild. Like he was.
This was Sid
like
or
just Claude. He was like so ready to go. And I go, something about like, you've gone head to head with Crosby here for 6 games. You got one more game. Like, what are you thinking right now? And he goes, and he swears, he goes, it's so effing unbelievable. Like he didn't even really have the sense that he was on TV.
Yeah.
And he just dropped this F-bomb, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then the game start. It was such great theater. And it wouldn't take long for the Philly fans to be all over Crosby again.
Oh boy, yeah.
And for Sid at 40 years old to kind of go, oh yeah, you know what? I still got a little bit left. Like, I think it would be an amazing series.
Yeah. Well, That's what we're hoping for. Stuff like that. I mean, there's always drama in round one of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It happens
Always
on an
is.
annual basis. But the history that, you've just reminded us of, I mean, that's added value, right? So it gives us something to hope for. By the way, I think I'm going to put you on notice here a little bit because well, Ryan Rishaug should be doing this, but he's kind of shirking his responsibilities.
Yeah.
We're closing in on the end of the regular season, so we should be looking at our major award winners sooner rather than later, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
well, we got to. Yeah, we got to get on that. Do you have a vote in the awards this year?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Painstaking process. Do you know? Like, you're kind of on the fence. You weren't sure when you mentioned it the other day.
Yeah, I found out yesterday that I do, but I always keep a list anyway. Just for something to do while I'm killing time on a plane or something. What's interesting is things that I had written down in January and February, they're no longer, they're not in the same order anymore.
Yeah.
And so it's like
but that's fine. I'm so glad to hear you say this, because it's the one thing that I always tell people, that the best voters are the ones that go through the process that you're going through. You start early and then you look back at your notes and you're like, all right, well, you tailed off. So maybe that puts he's still on my ballot, but maybe he's not a 2-3 guy. Maybe he's a 4-5 guy.
Okay. So here's a question for, so somebody that starts great and faded, is that worse than somebody that started lousy and had a great finish? I don't know that it is, because, well, okay, people can say whatever they want about that guy. And like sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe some of the mistakes he makes. In my mind, for sure, he's a top 3 Norris guy. I think he has to be. There are times when I go, oh, he makes mistakes that, like we all kind of glom onto. Do you not think Cale Makar does the same thing? Because he does.
Yeah, he's not had, probably, right?
Yes, and he's not had an impeccable season.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at Quinn Hughes is even on the season.
Yeah.
-10 in Vancouver, +10 in Minnesota. And you're like, oh, and then I'm like, wow, Bouchard's a complication onto all this. Hey, I got to get in your top 5. Would you not have votes for Matthew Schaefer?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
So when people say, oh, this guy got snubbed, pretty soon your ballot looks like a 6-year-old coloring. And you're like, God damn it, I got this guy in. No, I got to take this guy. It's hard. It's hard to do, but I look forward to it. It'll be fun.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I brought it up, because we do have some fun with it, but there's a serious tone to it as well. Obviously, you don't just randomly put these names down on a piece of paper. So,
well, maybe Rishaug can, at dinner, he can ask Mom, and maybe Mom can, can help us out.
Yeah, the breakfast table.
Rishaug is a saint. Don't be talking about her on this pod.
No, I'm saying we value Donna's input, not yours.
Yes,
Donna's.
Yeah, I agree.
I just heard her name and I assumed you guys were chirping. I was doing something else
here. Yeah, I knew you weren't paying attention. That's the same as always. Yeah.
All right, well, those are your headlines. Thank you to the Canadian Brew House.
It feels like Tim Hortons has always been part of my routine, certainly as a dad, as a coach, or taking my kids to the early morning hockeys. Had to go through the drive-thru and get my cup of coffee and get the Timbits for the kids. Can I get a medium coffee with milk, please? Then even driving into studio now at TSN. If I don't go through the drive-thru, get my medium coffee with milk, I feel like my routine has been interrupted.
Here's your coffee.
Thank you.
Right there,
you too. Only way to start a day.
We're not going to bring Ryan Rishaug in. He just he's like this voice that hovers in the background. But we will bring him in on Thursday for Ask Ray and Dregs Anything. So send us your thoughts and questions on X or on the website, rayanddregs.com. Okay.
By the way, Thursday, we got to be careful. You know why?
Why?
It's the start of the Masters. Are you kidding me? Wake up.
Yes, I understand.
Wake up.
Yeah.
Come on.
So Yeah, as a good buddy of mine is actually Holly's going to Thunder Bay to visit with Katie on Friday, right? So it's great. I'm glad Katie's in another show. I think with a symphony orchestra this weekend. So very exciting stuff. So Holly's not going to miss that. But selfishly, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I've got a hall pass Masters weekend.
Is it? So how about when you were younger, like when you're married, you're 30 years old, Holly was, going to do something or whatever, and you've got 2 days, you're like, oh my God, me and the guys are going to go for dinner. We're going to go do this.
No.
Now you're like, oh, I can get on the couch and watch the Masters all weekend.
I know.
Like
I know.
The couch is a welcome place.
I sent so this morning I sent a couple of texts to some buddies, just asking, hey, if you guys are around, like rather than meet at some local pub, let's just gather at my house. We'll order some pies and watch the Masters. And I get a response back from one guy. He's like, yeah, maybe, but I think I'm going to the cottage this weekend. I'm like, I don't know. You're gonna be
by yourself.
Weekend? That's
you're
fine
gonna be by
too.
yourself. Yeah. No, I don't mind it at all.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get Zuby involved in all of this for the Tim's Hockey Challenge. And there he is waiting patiently. And you, my friend, see, I'm looking at this. I was going to say you're the bearer of bad news for really all of us on the Rand Dregs, Tim's Challenge. But
I think he dressed like that too.
The man in black today, yeah.
Man in black.
Yes, yes.
But I don't. So the offer for me, Zuby, across the board, isn't a terrible thing. No. It's not. I'm willing to eat the humble pie and admit 0 for 3 is not great from my perspective, but there was no ground established by.
I was going to kick it off today by asking you guys each what's your favorite donut at Tim Hortons, because it was donuts across the board here today. But Dregs, I've heard you. What is your Tim's donut?
That's a good question. Well, I'm not really a donut guy. If I'm more of a chocolate chip cookie guy. That's my go-to when I go through the drive-thrus, Zub. Old school when it comes to the donuts. Like, is an apple fritter a donut, or does it have to have a hole in the middle?
No, it's in the case. It's in the case.
Yeah,
you can vote that.
Apple fritter. Yeah, old
school.
I
haven't given it much thought. Honey dip.
And I love that.
I love honey dip. Oh, it's so good.
What about the new Ryan Reynolds donut with was it maple glazed whatever? Might have to try that one.
Yeah.
Just to support Ryan in the campaign.
And I like the sour cream glaze. I think that's kind of new school, even though it's not.
Oh, it is
fancy. It's not fancy though, but man, is it good. So yeah, it was donuts across the board, fellas. Oh, go ahead.
Let me give you one. Barry Melrose, when we used to work at ESPN, we'd always late at night. We're there sometimes till 2 a.m. Someone would be like, "You want to go for a donut run?" Barry would always say, "I'll get one old-fashioned plain donut," and we're like, "Who has a plain donut?" And he goes,
I thought you
meant
none of that. An old-fashioned and a donut. Like a glass of whiskey.
And Melly would go, "Don't get me any of that other stuff. I just want an old fashioned." And I can just picture him back in Melville at the Timmy's that he would,
That's
that
awesome.
little the bottom right corner of the case with the old fashioned plain donut. That was his. I was like, "Man, that's not right."
No,
there's he's the evidence though that somebody orders them. I guess.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yes.
So yeah, it was donuts across the board. So no movement. So the big picture here is that Ray is still 4 behind Dregs in the Tim's Hockey Challenge with essentially 3 shows. Oh no, including today, 4 shows regular season. Of course, our show will continue on, but 4 shows in the Tim's Hockey Challenge regular season remaining. 4 to make up and 4 shows. This is well within reach here, Ray.
Yeah. We need, I feel a little bit like the Detroit Red Wings right now. That was a key loss. But fortunately the teams around me lost too.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
So it's funny. Oh yeah. I feel good about my picks today. Now I can't remember any of them, but I felt good when I picked them. And so I feel good.
I took Jake Evans in the 3 spot again. I know he's turned into my go-to guy. And Montreal's played so well that he's going to be out there for that empty netter.
So Zuby, I think Tim's has listened to you. The algorithm has listened. They slid Drew O'Connor into the second bucket.
Did they ever?
I thought that is not right. That's our 3-hole guy. You cannot do that.
I saw that.
Did you take Jack in the first bucket?
Pardon me?
Did you take Eichel in the first bucket? I think that's who I went with, if memory serves, Jack Eichel.
No, I did some. I had a reason. I took a little bit of a flyer in the first bucket, and there was a great reason, and I just can't remember who I took it.
Okay, well, we'll revisit that on Thursday.
I think they put O'Connor in the second bucket because Jordan Spence is in the third, and they didn't want me to have to choose between them. So that
would be cruel.
And on the Ray and Kucherov scoring front, I'll tell you who else Kucherov still has to leapfrog to get to Ray. John Ogrodnik, Paul Correa, Shane Doan. This is a who's who. John Leclerc, Rod Gilbert, and Marian Gaborik. There's like one almost at each goal along the way. And also there's a current player in there that maybe we forgot about. This McDavid
fella.
Guy. He's in there
McDavid.
Too. He's in there at 404, so he's even closer to surpassing Ray.
You know what? It's amazing. This is a career milestone for those guys. I know they've long and looked hard at goal 409, and that would be like it would be just such a great accomplishment for them.
Do you know that thing? This is super bizarre, but this just came to mind for me. Do you know the thing of what they call the Brimley line? Wilford Brimley from when he was in the movie Cocoon, and he like played an 80-year-old, but he was like 58 or something like that.
Yes.
I feel like this is like the Brimley line of random goal scoring achievement for 408 to pass Ray Ferraro.
But by the way, I think all of those guys that you listed, like Rod Gilbert, no, he didn't get 50. He didn't get 50, but Leclerc got 50 one year. Correa got 50. Ogrodnik got 50. I was like, oh, those are some pretty good names. And then, like you say, the McDavid fella, he might get there by the weekend. So,
True.
All right, Zuby.
All right, fellas.
Good luck. We'll talk.
Good luck, Zuby.
Thursday.
Yeah, you too, guys.
All right, Ray. What's the week unfolding for you looking like?
I'm at home, and I'm really pumped because I got a huge game in Boston on the weekend. Tampa is there. So that's a huge game. And and then the playoffs are the following weekend. So I've got some time at home here before the madness hits, and I'm looking forward to it. Looks like the weather's good.
Nice.
And yeah. So you're going to shovel again, or are you just going to wait until it melts?
Yeah, I'm just going to let it smarten up here. I might go scrape a little bit here, but relatively busy week, same as always. Made more interesting by, again, all the changes that are happening in several front offices around the NHL. So basically insider trading beat for me this week, and our final regional Leafs game is Thursday. That'll be the Islanders and the Toronto Maple Leafs Thursday. So and then Masters.
Pete DeBoer. Yeah, Pete DeBoer behind the bench.
Yeah, got my Masters.
Who's your Masters
jammies.
pick? Oh, Thursday we got to maybe take a little look at. Yeah, yes. I think we got to take a little look at that.
Yeah.
I think that if you pick the winner, that should count on our Tim's challenge.
No. But we could have a side bet on something like that for sure.
I think we should.
Right,
Thursday it is. Everybody, thanks for listening. Enjoy the couple days.
Yes, and thank you to our sponsors who continue to support the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast. Our title sponsor, Tim Hortons, thank you. And thank you to the Canadian Brew House. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.